The person you are is an inspiration to many. You are more than your accomplishments. You're a gift to those who know you and love you. The love you give and the values and morals you share continue to shape us into the people we are and the people who we will become. You will always be remembered. Your life, your stories, and your memories will forever be cherished. Your legacy will live on through us for generations to come. We love you, Johnny, more than words can express, and want you to know, deep within your heart and soul, what an incredible person you are.
He has the biggest heart, right? Almost to his detriment.
We already knew that he would always try and cheer somebody up if they were sad. And the surprising thing was, even now, when he doesn't understand many things, anytime that like me or my siblings or someone is crying and he sees that or hears that, you always hear like him walking down the hall and he'll come to us and give us a hug, even though he has no idea what's happening.
With my dad, I've noticed that, like, especially with my other friends, I realized that my dad was like a lot more present than a lot of other people's are. So I like that I had a relationship where he'd always do stuff with us. And even though he was busy, he'd kind of make time for us.
One time we went to go to Home Depot to pick stuff up. And I remember that we had to put so much in the car that there was nowhere for me to sit. And at that time, I wasn't really old enough to sit in the front. So I remember he like piled boxes and then I sat in the front to make it seem like I was taller. And then he bought me like ketchup chips and I sat in the front. It made me so happy that day. Like that day, I don't know why, but I was just really, really happy.
One of our most memorable memories was on our honeymoon. We were on our second week of our honeymoon and we were on a cruise ship. And ironically, the film The Titanic came out just not even 12 months prior to our honeymoon. And it just so happened that on our second night of our cruise ship hit a reef and we were actually taking on water and they had to beach the cruise ship. You know, it was quite frightening. The beautiful thing was that when the alarm sounded and we had to go back to our rooms and get our life jackets and go back to our muster stations, that Johnny was just so present and making sure that I was cared for, making sure that my life jacket was on, and you know, he was just really, really concerned and really attentive.
Yeah, he always tried to show interest in whatever we did, no matter what it was. Like, I was interested in trampoline, my brother was interested in dirt bikes, my sister in horseback riding.
Well, like maybe my most recent one before he was sick was I'd wanted like a dirt bike for a really long time. And so for like a few birthdays and stuff, I'd saved up for it. And then we found one that we liked, and then it was a little bit more expensive, so he helped me pay for the rest of it. And then even just helped me, he took me to like tracks and stuff. He helped me with the dirt bike, with the gear, with like maintenance and all that stuff. Taught me how to drive the truck with like the trailer on the back.
I horseback ride and I love horses, and my dad really loves like the cowboy stuff. So there was like one show that I really loved, Heartland, and we would always watch it together. Like it was just such like a special thing that he would be so like feel so special.
I think it was very important to him that he showed us love.
Yeah, me and my dad, we had a lot of like traditions between me and him, just like specifically me and him. Every Christmas it would be like me and my dad, we'd watch the Polar Express and eat Baconators, like just the two of us. That movie's like really, really special to me and my dad, and it's always been something that we've just done.
I was really close with my dad. I realize that now. He spent a lot of time with us, a lot more than a lot of other people. So I've been really grateful for that. So I love like cars and machines. So as a kid, he made like almost like a car out of a box, and he'd put a string on there and then he'd pull me around the house. And I don't really remember that, but I remember my mom and my dad telling me that. So I guess that's like one of my memory I like to think about.
For our family, I think Christmas is like one of the most important holidays. So Johnny and I have so many memories that we would go and, you know, chop. This was before having children. We would go and chop down our tree, and we would, you know, do it for my parents as well. And we would put their tree up, and we would always play Christmas carols as we decorated the tree. That was always our thing. And then when we had kids, it was even more fun, you know, because it was like a whole day affair.
Parents loved their 80s, like movies, 70s, 90s. We would watch a lot of like the older movies from back when they were like teenagers and stuff. So my dad's always loved like, especially his music. Like he obviously listens to the new music, but like he really loved the stuff from back when he was a kid.
We always used to play 80s music. I remember we went to Alberta and we made like a whole playlist, and a lot of the songs were 80s music, or even like my dad would pick me up from sleepovers and we had like those few songs that were so special to me and him.
We're very similar in many ways, and anytime I'd want to do something, I'd go to him and he would do it with me. So I started to get into drawing a lot when I was younger, and me and my dad just started drawing, and we figured out he's a really, really good drawer. Related to that note, another thing that we always did together was build stuff. So he's a contractor, and I always loved crafts, so I'd always say, oh, I want to build this, can you help me out? And then we'd spend hours just building whatever I asked.
Like skiing. My dad taught us all how to ski. I used to really hate skiing, but now like these past couple of years my dad has been helping me besides this year, and now I love skiing. Like it's one of my favorite winter activities.
One of the memories that the kids have is that he skied with them, and he actually taught Simona quite a bit.
Well, everyone else would they'd all go off and do all the big ski hills, but me and my dad would just do like I just wanted to work on the smaller stuff. So he would always spend his whole day with me, which made me feel really special because I know how much he loves skiing.
There's no ill will in his body, that he's just, wants the good for everyone.
Even like swimming, so he didn't know how to swim, and we were taking swimming lessons when we were like really young, and so he wanted to be able to swim with us on like vacations and stuff. He took lessons just so he could swim with us.
I spent one day when it was for grade 9. It was like where you go to work with your father, and I kind of went to work with my dad. He gets calls a lot of the time when he was working. I felt like really close with him because he was showing me everything he does, and I realized that he still spends so much time with us while juggling all of that and answering calls in the cars and stuff. And so that day when I was with him and I just got to follow him around and watch him like help people out, tell them what to do, I felt really close with him.
I really wish he did know, because even before the diagnosis and now, it has literally opened my eyes at how much of an impact it has had on people. I've never seen so many people having this much love and this much empathy in their hearts for anyone.
I know that Johnny would want for his children to live a life of authenticity. I know that even though Johnny worked really hard to provide for his family, I also know that he would never want it to be at the cost of one's heart and one's soul.
I feel like he mainly wants me to be happy doing whatever I'm doing.
He always said that to work hard and enjoy what you're doing, and if you're not happy with it, then don't continue doing it.
I think his hopes are just for us to be the best people we can.
So I'd say definitely it's great to just to do what to kind of enjoy what you're doing. So it's not work if you love what you're doing.
He would just support us through whatever, because it's all he wants for us is to be happy. As long as we're happy and we feel good, that's most important to him. That's what he cares about.
I know that for Johnny, that the most important thing is one's happiness. And so I know without a doubt that for his children, he wants them to live a fulfilled life, to be happy and to be true to themselves. And I know that is the most important thing for Johnny.
Even if he wasn't in a good mood, he wouldn't let that reflect who he was. He was always a good guy in every situation. He was just a great father, a great friend.
As a husband, you can't ask for someone who is more dedicated and committed.
He's obviously kind, he's caring, he's stubborn, that's for sure. And he's really, thoughtful.
He's really, really funny and sarcastic. He's really fun and goofy. He's very hardworking. He doesn't give up on stuff.
He's really a kind person, and he always wanted to help other people.
His dedication to being the best that he could be, I think, as a father and a husband and a business partner. I think he is an inspiration to many people.
There's a lot of things he is naturally good at, but he never really, when he was younger, had the time or money to get into it.
Well, I remember my dad used to talk about all the crazy stuff he did in his childhood, and how he had a lot of freedom, but again he also had a lot of discipline. So my dad's also very he cares more about others. He would always make sure that others were okay before himself. So I've always wanted to know where did he get that from? Was that just something that was coming from him, or I don't know. It's just I've always wondered that about him for some reason.
Because my dad was very much get it done type of person. He doesn't like to leave stuff, and I inherited that. Even with schoolwork and stuff, I would always I'd always do it right away because it bothered me. And I think I got that from my dad, because he was always as soon as something was there was a problem or something to be fixed or done, he would just do it right away.
I don't think that you would meet anyone who did not like Johnny. because he's the most generous, he's the most caring, thoughtful person, always put others before himself, and will go at any length to make you happy.
I remember so many times I'm like, do you want to build anything? Because I always ask you what I want to build. Do you want to build anything? He's like, no, I'll build whatever you want to build, because he just wanted to make me happy.
I realize there's a lot of stuff I can't do now that he can't do stuff around the house. And that's kind of because my dad does it all himself. Sometimes a light doesn't work, or the light bulb needs to be fixed, or even just like the water softener in our house. I had no clue he had to put salt in there and had to do all that stuff because my dad just did everything himself.
Well, there are many different things I've learned about the illness, and then there are also things I've learned just about life in general, about taking things for granted. Everything is going to be okay, and it's going to be like a new normal, and after a little bit I will get used to that, and I will realize that that is okay, and I'm going to learn to be happy with that. So I've learned a lot about just life in general, and how things that you love can be taken away from you so fast.
I would want to know about like some of the struggles he went through and how he overcame them, because for me, since I also have ADHD, and my mom always talks about this as he had really bad ADHD, but he really tried hard and he tried his best to overcome it, and he did great in the end. So I'd probably want to know that like the challenges that he had through in life, career-wise and relationship-wise, and how he overcame them, because so that I can know and it can help me, because he did a great job with that, and we never really heard much about himself when it came to challenges and accomplishments and stuff like that.
I mean, he's built us 2 homes. That's something he'd be proud of. He went on a trip with 5 buddies and they climbed Machu Picchu, and they did a 5-day trek, because that was a moment in his life that was, I think, an important time.
I think he's really proud of the people we are becoming, and I think he's proud of how he raised us too. So I think that he's also really proud that he was able to give us what he always wanted as a child.
Personally, I think they'd probably be proud of the job he's done here on this earth with his work. He's very successful, even though he didn't come from a lot of money. And then I know what he would say is he'd probably say that he's very proud that he had us.
I mean, one thing I realized is that I don't know too much about his hobbies or interests, because really I guess maybe that was work, maybe was his interest a lot. I know he loved working, but I look at myself now and I have my hobbies like dirt biking. I love cars and all that stuff. I don't know if he really had any hobbies that I know about, or maybe he dropped them when I was born and stuff.
I remember one time Andrea said, I'm always the serious one and talking about emotions and problem solving when things come up, and then my husband would make a joke, right? And the kids, and Andrea's like, can't you guys be somewhere in the middle? Because Andrea's like, Mom, you take it to one extreme with going really, really deep. And then Dad's the opposite and just makes a joke, right?
I'd say one of his most important roles was bringing light to dark situations, and he's the best at making us feel better when we are sad, and never failed to help us up when we were down and sad about something. And he had the ability to light up any room in any situation.
He felt like he had no regrets in that way, in that he was living the life he desired.
He's really proud of his business, but best thing he's ever made and his greatest achievement, always says, was us.
I think he's most proud of his family and his children. I try my best to be around and really, show my love. I think I'd really want to tell him how grateful I am. I have right now an amazing father who was actually so loving and so funny and really cared about us and took a lot of time to spend with us.
I guess I'd want to make sure he knows just how much I love him and how proud I am of him, and how make sure he knows that I know just how much he's really done for us, and just to let him know that I'm going to be okay.
If this was my last chance to tell him something, I would tell him that I'm very happy and lucky that I had him as my dad, and that I will try to be as good as a man and a friend and a father and a husband that he is. And I'd also tell him that he's my role model and could always make me laugh with his jokes and sense of humor.
So I just want him to know just how amazing of a person he is. I just want him to know deep down. I just really hope that he knows how amazing of a person he truly is and how loved he is by so many. That's what my desire for him is, just that he truly knows it. I have shared and I continue to share is to thank him for the gift of having him in our lives. I would say that would be the biggest thing.
He has given me so much, and I know that no one could ever in my life make me feel happier. No one in my life will ever love more than my dad.
I think he'd want us to pass down stuff he's told us about like family and pass down the guidance about how important family is to our family and try and treat them as best as we can.
Happy Valentine's Day, Mama.
Valentine's Day, Papa. Thank you. And you're giving me a gift.
Okay.